Hello friends, my name is RagePanda1 and this is my guide for the male White Eyes. There's been a lot of questions about what this passive actually does. It's when you're present, the gain effect of all enemy attacks is reduced by 40%. Now, in my introduction video to these guys upon first seeing the release, I thought that would mean it reduces how much energy people would gain from doing their attacks. That seemed to make sense to me, but that's not what it is. So what this actually does is it's going to reduce the effectiveness of buffs. Well, that's a pretty cool thing because that means that you are countering the female Lionstone. So it's nice that they gave her a bit of a counter, but at the same time, it just kind of changes the meta so that you're both going to be using Lionstone and this guy if you want to continue doing the Burst Mage thing, and you're going to be fine. His ultimate increases attack speed by 20% and increases attack power by up to 200% for 5 seconds. Of course, that pairs perfectly with the female Lionstone, although it's actually kind of tricky to get them to attack at the same time because of the way that energy generation works defensively. So I have a little bit of a theory again for trying to help with that, but it ain't perfect, and we'll get to it when we get to it. And the Totem of Spite casts a totem for 5 seconds that every 1 second shoots out a little attack at a random enemy, which stuns them for half a second and does a minor amount of damage. But I don't think that's what he's best used for anyway. When we're talking about traits with our male White Eyes, there are a couple things to note. Number one, he always comes with Brave, which is basically Tenacious, but for the entire team. And even though this effect says that it can't be stacked, I would assume, keep in mind I'm assuming, that Tenacious is a different effect and therefore would stack on top of this. Although I'm not saying that that's a great thing to do. I don't particularly love Tenacious myself. But if you like to use it and that's your cup of tea, I think you'll be fine stacking them. More testing is needed. If we're looking at best builds for this guy's main purpose is to disrupt the enemy team, and I've said this on other characters, but I think that leaning into that is the way that you want to go. So I think that Energetic is basically essential for the same reason I've said 1,000 times. I think Agile, Hexproof, and Fearsome are the way that you want to be going, because reducing enemy buffs and getting a ton of stuns, and now adding yet another kind of stun you can get, and silences, and let's not forget the synergy with those traits and the fact that he's increasing your attack speed. I think all of those things go into a really nice package of helping this guy to do what he does, but better. So I think that you're going to be happy running him that way. Trying to build him with any damage at all is essentially useless. I would not recommend it. Had to test it out for you guys. Answers are conclusive. He's not good at it. The other way that I recommend building this guy is to try to tweak his traits in order that he will be using his ult at the time that you want him to be using his ult. A lot of people are running Agile and Focused so that they can get as many ults off as possible. And they'll have that on everybody, including their female Lionstone. If you have the same traits of Agile and Focused on your female Lionstone and on this guy, their ultimates will be staggered. She's going to be taking damage in the front lines. As much as you try to get him to take damage, he probably won't. At least not right away to the point where it's going to balance those out. So I think that adjusting the traits on one or the other so that the ultimates happen when you want them to is going to be the play. If you don't have Agile or Focused on the female Lionstone, you may be good with the first build. If you end up needing Agile and Focused to do both of those things, then I think you're still going to be pretty good. And I don't personally love the builds that tend to go for Agile and Focused at the same time, because I think you give up too much defense or too much offense in order to be able to do that. But if you're running something like that, and you have a female Lionstone that is sitting there with her clan trait and her Agile and her Focused, and you're just not matching up on your ultimates at all, then I would go for Energetic, Agile, Focused, and Ambitious. If you're trying to keep up with the Lionstone and she's got Ambitious, then you are also going to need Ambitious. When you do it this way, female Lionstone's probably still ulting first, but it is what it is. If you're trying to keep up with that, then you got to try your best to keep up with that. If you like what I'm throwing at you, then why don't you go ahead and throw it back at me with a like. So in terms of positioning, if you're doing what I intend to do with the guy, then you're going to want to keep him towards the front so that he's protecting your backliners. I think that's going to be a good, at least if my other frontliners die, then he'll be there to intercept it and keep my real damage dealers dealing damage. That's my plan. So he's going to be towards the front. The positioning for this character is going to be more dictated really by what the enemy is doing than what you're doing, which can often be the case, but he is a reactive character rather than a proactive one. And the thing that I'm looking for here is that I want to have my team as spread out as possible because I want to have less people hit by a fear bomb and I want to have less people hit by a male Ignis ult. So then I'll put him in the middle, and that's going to make my melee characters diverge just a little bit, making that group smaller. And then, of course, none of my other characters are going to be trying to run in. This person's a little stronger than me overall, but we're going to try to target this male Ignis just because he's the highest person on their team and probably carrying the most of their damage. So we're a little bit spread out here. That's exactly what we wanted. We got the pull in. And let's see what we have to deal with. Interesting. I think we may have gotten lucky there and actually canceled that male Ignis ult. That would be great. Now, it had said that that person was a little stronger than me, but then when we got into the battle, they're actually 500,000 lower or something close to that. So I can't be too over the top excited about winning that fight, but I think we made smart choices. So this person is quite a bit higher, and they have a sustained comp using a male Lionstone for shields and a male Lume to try to heal up a little bit. We need to kill the male Lume as fast as possible. Unfortunately, we really need to kill most of these things as fast as possible, and we're just going to have to hope for the best on this one. But on this fight, we actually don't want separation in our melee, and because of that, we're going to put him on the outer side. That's going to make both of these melee characters rush up into a tighter group here, and then we're going to pull somebody in with our Tidestorm, which is going to be great for us. The only thing that really helps with is our female Devala ult, and it doesn't help them at all because they're not really running that kind of comp. So again, this is a big gamble, but we're going to hope for the best. Our big issue here has been not being able to kill the male Lume yet, but in the end, I think it's going our way. And so this is going to be a little bit of an interesting thing for you here. Obviously, my guys were alive longer, but these characters that are lower leveled than this female Ignis did actually more damage because they're getting all of that burst. So that was worth quite a bit of points, and it's nice to be able to win fights against people that are higher ranked than you. They didn't have a bad team. Their team was totally fine. We just came out ahead on that one, and I think that the extra stuns are what got us there. So when we're talking about synergies for this guy, it's real simple. It's the same thing with female Lionstone. Big damage, go Bert. We like that. So he wants to be with a female Lionstone. It's not mandatory. But if you can get them to overlap their ults and you get a really big ult off with that, like a male Aeson or something, then lights out, you're going to win. That's going to be a happy day for you. But this guy shines best not in his synergies, but in the way that he counters the enemy team. By reducing the buffs that they're getting, if they're using people that are doing a lot of huge buffs, which a lot of people are right now, especially in PvP, this guy is really great for helping you counter that. And also, the stuns that he produces to interrupt people from doing what they want to do is also very helpful for you. And that's why I think that the build that enhances doing that using Agile, Fearsome, and Hexproof is going to be his best build because you're just making him do more of the thing that is the best reason to have him on the team in the first place. And should you pick this guy or the female? Now, I think that the female is really good. I think that the damage boost that she gives from her active skill is going to be very underrated. And of course, the damage mitigations that she provides from that same move are also going to be underrated because these are things you don't look at the character and see it happening directly. It's just a pretty okay boost that's happening to your whole team all at once. It's going to feel good when you're using her, but you're not going to notice exactly why it's feeling good. And her heals are crazy good. So the moral of the story is if you like burst comps, then you should be leveling up the male. If you like sustained comps, then you should be leveling up the female. Is she going to be better than male Lume? I don't know. That remains to be seen, and a lot of testing has to be done. They kind of do different things. She's more of a middle ground in between getting your buffs for your team and then also getting heals, whereas the male Lume is 100% based on healing. So if you're wondering which one you want to pick, I would base it on that. Do you want burst damage or do you want a sustained comp? There you go. If you're looking for a more in-depth guide on the female, that will be coming tomorrow. I want to thank you for watching the video. I have been RagePanda1, and I will see you in the next one.